Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Right now at 8 o'clock on Fox 50, a man shot. Raleigh police are investigating a shooting this morning. What we're learning about his condition.
And what to wear. It's chilly this morning, but we'll be warm this afternoon into the 80s. I'll show you why we won't see 80s very many days this week.
And a permanent closure navigating downtown Raleigh changes today. The new route you'll have to take around the expanding Raleigh Convention Center. Plus, billions on the line. Today's the first step toward months of negotiations over the state budget, how different groups plan to spend your tax dollars. We have everything you need to know to get your Monday started. Thank you so much for joining us here on Fox 50. I'm Michelle McConaughey. Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Not tracking any severe weather today. It's beautiful out there.
Gorgeous. It was a nice chilly start this morning, and we're going to warm up to the mid 80s this afternoon. We take a live look at Apex. There have been a few high thin clouds out there in a few places, but those clouds are not going to have a major effect on our weather today. You'll just see a few passing clouds. The wind is going to help to bring us some warm air. It's now coming out of the southwest, so that warm air from the south moving right on in. We're seeing steady winds at 13 miles per hour. We'll see gusts this afternoon, 20 to 25. Right now, it is 57 degrees in the Triangle. It's still 56 in Roxborough, but elsewhere we're seeing temperatures warming up. So mostly low to mid 50s as you head out the door. That still might be jacket weather, but by lunchtime, 74, and then we'll see that high of 84 degrees. I'm tracking our next weather maker, which comes in tomorrow with a tiny chance of showers, but a big drop in our temperatures. I'll show you, Ken.
Elizabeth, at 8:01, let's take a spin around the Beltline, shall we? It's I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. Boy, bumper-to-bumper traffic. Similarly, on the northern loop of the Beltline as well, even though traffic is moving a little better on that northern loop. Just a handful of crashes dotting our live map this morning, but one I want to bring your attention to in southern Wake County on Highway 55 near Honeycutt Road. You can see the huge delays it's causing in both directions there on Highway 55. This is just north of Andrews, so I would recommend giving yourself some extra time and just avoiding that area altogether, because we've seen that congestion building in both directions. In terms of other major routes coming into the capital city, if you're coming in from Apex this morning, you're looking at an 8-minute delay on US 1. Similarly, on US 1 coming down on Capitol Boulevard from Wake Forest, you're looking at an 8-minute delay. Things are beginning to improve there on those I-87 lanes coming in from Nightdale, just a 12-minute delay. In Durham, though, all the major routes are delay-free, but we do want to isolate I-885 this morning, because if you're heading into Durham this morning, you're looking at a 7-minute delay. But if you're leaving Durham trying to get to I-40, you're just looking at a 2-minute delay. You're getting ready to head out the door. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Thanks, Ken. Breaking news, a man seriously hurt after a shooting early this morning in Raleigh. The shooting happened on Dancy Drive near Lewisburg Road just after 12:30. Police had an SUV towed from that scene around 5 a.m. They have not made any arrests. And in Johnston County, Sky 5 flew over this fire response on Black Creek Road. Multiple crews, including Four Oaks, Benson, and Elevation fire departments responded. It took them about an hour to put out those flames, marking it under control at about 6:40 this morning. We are working to learn if anyone was hurt in that fire. And starting today, changes coming to downtown Raleigh. South Street in Raleigh is closing permanently between Dawson and McDowell Streets as part of the expansion project for the Raleigh Convention Center. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey tells us this is making way for the relocation of the Red Hat Amphitheater.
Your commute in downtown Raleigh will look different starting today. This section of South Street here between Dawson and McDowell Streets will close permanently today. Drivers now need to use Lenore Street as an alternate route. This is all a part of changes for the Red Hat Amphitheater. The city is moving the amphitheater to South Lenore Street, just a block away from where it is now. That will make room for a 300,000 square foot expansion at the Raleigh Convention Center. Plans for the new Red Hat are already in the works. You're looking at renderings of that project now. The city plans to add more sidewalks in front of the venue. Assistant City Manager Evan Raleigh says the Red Hat brings big money to businesses downtown.
The economic activity that the venue generates was critical to their success. And so we know, the Red Hat generates tens of millions in economic activity every year.
The new Red Hat is set to open in 2027. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Police in Fayetteville are working to learn what may have led to a deadly shooting at a recreation center. Officers responded to the College Lakes Recreation Center at 5 p.m. after reports of shots fired. They found a man who was shot and killed. A viewer sent us a video showing about a dozen police cars, 2 fire trucks, and an ambulance in front of the recreation center. When our crew arrived, they saw a car being towed from the parking lot. No arrests have been made. And at least 2 people were hurt in a crash on Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh. Police say it happened near Hodges Road just after 8 o'clock last night. The on-ramp to 440 was closed during the investigation, but it's back open this morning. We are working to learn more about the conditions of the people involved. And an investigation is underway after Robeson County deputies found a body in the water. According to the sheriff's office Facebook post, it happened in the area of NC 72 West and Bowie Philadelphus Road. That's between Pembroke and Red Springs. The sheriff's office has not released any other information at this time. We'll bring you updates as they become available. And today we'll get our first look at plans state lawmakers have to spend more than $30 billion in taxpayer money. WRAL's Laura Levine is live outside the legislative building this morning. Laura, Republican leaders in the state Senate plan to unveil those budget plans today.
We are talking about billions of dollars on the line. So happening here today, state Senate leaders will discuss and lay out their vision of how that money should be spent. We know that this is the first step in what will likely be several months of negotiations between Republican House and Senate leaders, as well as Democratic Governor Josh Stein.
The Senate plan will be more modest than Stein recommended. That may mean smaller proposed raises for teachers and state employees. The current state budget is $31.7 billion. GOP lawmakers propose bringing that up to $32.6 billion in the coming year and $33.3 billion by 2026-2027. Stein has proposed a larger increase to nearly $34 billion, which would be paid for by keeping tax rates the same instead of continuing with tax cuts that Republicans favor, as well as by slashing the state's taxpayer-funded private school tuition vouchers. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie explains the key things to watch for in the Senate's proposal.
Democratic Governor Josh Stein will have a little bit more leverage this year in the budget process than Governor Cooper did last time. That's because the Republicans don't have a supermajority anymore in the State House. They're 1 vote shy, and that's not much of a margin, of course, but it might give Stein a little bit more leverage to get some of the things he wants to see in this budget.
So Senate Leader Phil Berger said he expects this budget to move pretty quickly, passing the Senate by the end of this week. Then it'll be the House's turn to approve its version of the budget. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Today, Durham Schools employees will meet with district leaders. The Durham Association of Educators is advocating for teachers and staff amid a $7 million budget shortfall for the school system. Today will be the first of 2 meetings between the groups and the Board of Education. They'll discuss the DAE's 9 proposals for the district's budget. And also today, Governor Stein's Student Safety and Well-Being Task Force will meet for the first time. The group, established earlier this month, is intended to help schools become safer, more welcoming places. Their first priority is working with state lawmakers to ban cell phones in schools. Their meeting runs from 9 a.m. to noon this morning at the Juvenile Justice Headquarters in Raleigh. And in Cumberland County, today we'll get an update on the Crown Event Center project. The $145 million project was allowed to resume building last week after a pause on construction. The Crown Event Center is not set to open until 2027. Today's update meeting gets started at 1 o'clock this afternoon at the Cumberland County Courthouse. An Israeli strike has destroyed part of the last functioning hospital in Gaza City. Parts of the hospital, including the emergency room and reception area, were extensively damaged. The Israeli military claimed they struck a Hamas command and control center in that attack. No deaths were reported as a direct result of that strike. However, the hospital's director says a boy with a head injury died in the rushed evacuation. Hospital administration says it'll take weeks to become operational again and months to restore that building. Stock futures are up after the Trump administration put in a tariff exemption on electronic imports from China. Looks like the Dow Jones is up about 320 points right now. Key indexes show the Dow, NASDAQ, and the S&P 500 all showing implied gains. Now, despite the celebration on Wall Street, the exemptions for tech are mostly in favor of large tech companies. One example being Apple, who manufactures about 90% of their phones in China. Without exemptions on their products, some American small business owners say they feel stuck in the middle of a trade war they have no control over.
We're quoting a client one day for a product, and then the very next day we have to give them another quote. And that roller coaster is not something that we can survive on as small business owners.
President Trump is hoping the tariffs will bring more manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. The White House says they'll revisit many of the now paused tariffs in the coming months. Well, time now is 8:10. Celebrity space launch. 6 women headed to zero gravity today. Some of the big names being sent on a record-breaking trip. And a scrap metal fire, a business in Kernersville, went up in flames. The response to this column of smoke that could be seen from Virginia.
80s today, 80s for the holiday weekend, but I'm tracking a front that'll bring us back down to cooler temperatures midweek. I'll explain the ups and downs coming up. (8:13), taking a live look at Chapel Hill this morning. Some cloud cover filling in a few places, but for the most part today is going to feel mostly sunny to partly cloudy. Just a little bit of cloud cover filling in first thing this morning. It's a chilly 48 in Roxborough, but elsewhere mostly we're in the low to mid 50s. 51 Holly Springs, 53 in Garner, 54 in Goldsboro, 57 in Durham. So heading out the door, you might want a light jacket. You'll want to shed it later this afternoon as our temperatures climb into the low to mid 80s. Perfect day for lunch outside, 74 degrees. Dinner outside looks great too. By 7 o'clock, our temperatures will be dropping back into the 70s. Nice and dry today, but coming up, I'm following a front that could bring us a few sprinkles and some cooler temperatures. Ken?
Elizabeth, we want to keep our viewers apprised of what's going on our major routes, particularly around the Beltline. This is I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. You can see the bumper traffic. A little bit easier flowing in terms of traffic on the northern loop of the Beltline is Real Oak Live at I-40 and Ridge Road. Really and truly, we're seeing some congestion also building on US 1 coming in from Apex, as well as I-540, but nothing that's going to really make you late. You're getting ready to head out the door. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Thanks, Ken. Today, the president of El Salvador is meeting President Trump at the White House. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced 10 more people were deported to El Salvador this past weekend. Rubio says the deportees are part of either MS-13 or the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Rubio praised Salvadoran president for his cooperation with the Trump administration. A Cary Swimming Association voted on a rule affecting transgender swimmers in competitions. The Tar Heel Swimming Association voted to require parents to register their child to swim in the category of their biological sex at birth. Association officials say this is a topic the league has discussed for 18 months. Association President Sean Gage says this change impacts about 5 to 10 of the more than 13,000 children in the league. Gage says in a statement, in part, for clarity, transgender children are welcome in this league, but for the purposes of competition, the league has decided that they are to compete as their sex as identified at birth. He also adds, quote, I want to make it clear that while I am president of TSA, everyone is welcome in this league, regardless of race, religion, or gender identity. The tour company behind last Thursday's deadly helicopter crash in New York City is shutting down. The Federal Aviation Administration made that announcement on Sunday. New York Helicopter Tours was previously involved in 2 safety incidents investigated by federal authorities. Thursday's crash killed all 6 people on board, including a family visiting from Spain. Final preps happening now for a milestone mission sending some stars into space. The Blue Origin rocket launch is scheduled for 9:30 this morning. We'll cover it live on Fox 50 when it happens. 6 women, including stars like Katy Perry, will be on board. This record-setting trip is the first multi-person space mission with an all-female crew ever. And Jeff Hogan is watching those preparations in the WRAL Live Center. Jeff.
Yeah, keep a close eye on this because not quite into that launch window just yet, but they have started the Blue Origin broadcast that they're prepping and getting. This is it, sitting on the launch pad there. Oh, it looks great in the West Texas morning sky right now. The 11th human mission that'll go up for Blue Origin right now, a record-setting trip, first multi-person space mission with that all-female crew happening right now. It's going to fly. And as you look at this on the launch pad, that's 60 feet tall, okay? That's the capsule there that this is going to take place. And this is a look right now. This is their mission control. T-minus 1 hour, 13 minutes as they continue with their broadcast there. But it's going to go 62 miles up into space. And that rocket, it'll come back down onto a launch pad about 2 miles away from where it takes off. And then the capsule will follow after that. But they'll go up about 11 minutes total trip. They'll spend right on the edge of space there, a few minutes. They're just floating about and then come back down and land in that West Texas desert. We're going to keep an eye on it right here in the Live Center.
All right, Jeff, thank you. Meanwhile, a critical weather tool may be disappearing from some National Weather Service offices. We're talking about the suspension and the reduction of weather balloons. Now, a little bit of background for you. They started launching in the 1930s. Take a snapshot of the vertical profile of the atmosphere, and they are a crucial part to forecasting. And especially this is happening in parts of the middle of the country. So tonight on WRAL News, we'll explain how this missing data could put your safety at risk during a storm and why this area specifically is one that we need to watch with the reduction in these balloon launches. Watch WRAL News tonight at 6 for the full story.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris. Plumes of smoke came off of a scrap metal business in Kernersville. The large scrap pile fire was visible for miles. Take a look at this here, even being spotted in parts of Virginia. Fire crews say the intense fire started at OmniSource recycling facility. Firefighters from across Forsyth County, including Winston-Salem Fire, were sent to help containment efforts. One firefighter was taken to the hospital for evaluation. No other injuries were reported. Officials say there are no health concerns for the community, but hazmat crews were sent to monitor air conditions there. The cause of this fire is still under investigation. Tonight, women's basketball will take the spotlight. The WNBA draft will be held in New York City. UConn star player Paige Bueckers will be in attendance. After taking her team to an NCAA win, she's expected to be the first pick by the Dallas Wings. The two NC State seniors are also part of the group of 16 invited to the draft as well. Ronald McDonald's House held a charity dinner party in Raleigh. The welcome home dinner party was at the Angus Barn last weekend. The generous crowd raised hundreds of thousands of dollars to provide a home away from home for families with children in the hospital. And our very own Elizabeth Gardner was the MC at that dinner party. So really, really great night, raising so much money. And Elizabeth is headed into the weather center shortly to tell us about this beautiful weather that we have. We're going to get into the 80s today. We are going to dip down a little bit this week before climbing back into the 80s for the weekend. But I mean, it is just so beautiful outside right now. This is a live look at our WRAL studio tower. You can see the clouds there, picturesque for your Monday morning. And Elizabeth is here now with a look around town. Starting off a little chilly, but it's going to warm up.
Definitely. We do have a few clouds that have rolled through. Fayetteville, Raleigh, Apex, Chapel Hill. It's not really going to have much of an impact on our weather today. We'll see plenty of sunshine from time to time, and that will allow our temperatures to continue to warm up. We have this warm front, and that warm front, of course, lifting northward is allowing our wind to shift to southwesterly. That's really warming things up for us. You can see the cold front back to the west. That rolls back in here tomorrow, and we'll drop our temperatures again. So here's where we get the roller coaster ride. Our next weather maker tomorrow will roll through with very little rain. We're not expecting any showers. We put a 20% chance in for midday Tuesday when the front comes through, just to kind of cover the bases. We will see cooler temperatures once this moves on through. Again, 20% chance between, say, 10 and 2, but any measurable rainfall is doubtful. So our pollen count is high. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, pine, oak, elm, and sweet gum are the main pollen that we see out there currently. All right, just 6 more days until Easter Sunday. Boy, it is time time fly or what? I tell you, we do have for Easter weekend a very warm forecast. We'll see a system out in the Rockies that stays there, really in the plains, and we'll see warm temperatures again. We have a cool down midweek, but then the 80s are back for the holiday weekend. We're not likely to see very much rain, but if that changes, we'll definitely let you know as early as we can. Right now, we don't have any rain in the forecast for the holiday weekend, just Tuesday, and they're only a 20% chance. Easter egg hunt for Sunday, 62 degrees at 7 a.m., 66 at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 70 degrees. Or if you're headed out to an Easter sunrise service, temperatures should be right around 60, so should be nice and comfortable. All right, our Ask the Meteorologist for today with Chris Michaels talks about missing weather balloon data. The weather balloons that the National Weather Service launches gives us really critical information that we use for our forecasting. And so he's going to talk a little bit more about what's happening there. Wednesday and Thursday look chilly, but look at this warm holiday weekend with highs in the 80s, Ken.
All right, Elizabeth, we're going to keep it outside, give you a live look at what's happening there at I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. You can see the bumper-to-bumper traffic. In terms of other major routes coming into the capital city, here's what we're looking at. Really and truly, it's a situation where we're looking at major routes coming into the capital city. Just a 5-minute delay coming in from Wake Forest this morning. I'll have an update at the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50.
Thanks, Ken. Big changes downtown. The next steps in the expansion of the Raleigh Convention Center and relocation of the Red Hat Amphitheater happening today. And Raleigh overvotes what we expect from State Supreme Court Justice Allison Riggs today after the latest court ruling in the challenge by her election opponent.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning. Happy Monday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. We are starting off a little chilly this morning, but we're going to warm up really nicely this afternoon. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner tells us how warm we're going to get.
Into the mid-80s this afternoon. We're starting to see the temperatures creep up, but it's still on the cool side. 52 in Wilson, 57 Durham, 54 in Fayetteville. There are a few passing clouds out there in a few places, and winds will be breezy this afternoon. Still, eating your lunch outside or just being outside, taking a walk still looks good. 74 degrees around lunchtime. Winds will be gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour. Heading out the door, just, a light jacket with those temperatures in the mid-50s. A little warm for exercise around the middle of the afternoon at 84, but comfortable in the 70s this evening, Ken.
Happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. Take you to the southern loop, the Beltline, I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. You can see the bumper-to-bumper traffic. In terms of other major routes coming into the capital city, you're looking at a 4-minute delay coming in from Wake Forest. Just a 3-minute delay coming in from US 1. So it's getting better coming into the capital city, particularly from Apex. Over in Durham, very little to no delays coming into the Bull City. Coming up, I'll have another update at the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50.
Thanks, Ken. Today, part of South Street in downtown Raleigh is closing permanently. The street will close to cars and pedestrians between Dawson and McDowell Streets. This is part of the project to expand the convention center and relocate the Red Hat Amphitheater. And today, state Senate lawmakers are expected to roll out their budget proposal. It's the first step in what's likely to be months of negotiations between Republican House and Senate leaders and Democratic Governor Josh Stein over the $30 billion budget. Next on Fox 50, the shooting at a Raleigh nightclub that police say targeted a rapper. And up next on Today, Leslie Odom Jr. live in Studio 1A with a big announcement.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Happening right now at 8:30, a Raleigh shooting. This morning, a man seriously hurt after a shooting near Lewisburg Road. What we know about the police search for that shooter.
And a warm day today after highs in the 60s to low 70s over the weekend. We're going to bounce into the mid-80s. I'll show you how long this will last.
Plus, transforming part of downtown Raleigh. Starting today, a street closes permanently to start work on the new convention center and amphitheater. The next steps in the project. And tax deadline tomorrow is the last day you can file your returns. 5 on Your Side is breaking down what you need to know whether you owe money or are expecting a refund. Thank you so much for sticking with us here on Fox 50. I'm Michelle McConaughey, and we have to talk about our weather today because it's going to be just sensational outside. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner with a look over downtown Raleigh. A little breezy, a little cool right now, but it's all going to change later.
Yeah, we took a live look here, and you can definitely see the wind blowing a little bit as we look down Fayetteville Street from our Jimmy V camera. The flags are flying. The trees are moving around a little bit. Our wind is gusting to about 15 now. We'll gust up to 25 later this afternoon. Steady southwest wind at 13 currently. That's what's pushing the warm air in. 57 is our temperature currently in the Triangle, and we're mostly in the 50s currently. It's 48 in Roxborough, but 52 in Rocky Mount and 56 in the Southern Pines. It'll be a fast warm up. We climb up to 74 at lunchtime and then 84 in the middle of the afternoon. Very comfortable this evening as well. I'm then tracking a front. Our next weather maker comes in tomorrow. It'll drop our temperatures, but I'll show you why it's not likely to bring us a lot of rain. Ken?
Hey, 31 Elizabeth. We're seeing a handful of crashes on a live map this morning, but nothing really that's going to delay you. What's delaying you are the usual morning congestion we're seeing on the southern loop of the Beltline as well as the northern loop of the Beltline. Let's show you what's going on courtesy of our live cam network. I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road and the southern loop of the Beltline. Those are the westbound lanes moving away from us. The northern loop around Lake I-40 and 440 Ridge Road moving a little better this morning. So if I were coming in from Garner, Johnston County, you're in a rush, I would take the northern loop. In some of the major routes coming into the capital city, very little to no delays, just about a 5-minute delay coming in from Wake Forest this morning. Over in the Bull City, very little to no delays heading into the Bull City. We do want to isolate I-885 because that's usually a busy time going in and out of Durham. If you're heading north on 885, you're just looking at a 3-minute delay. If you're heading south, it's just a 1-minute delay. You're getting ready to head into the car. Take us with you. Traffic on the go, 101.5 HD3.
Thanks, Ken. Breaking news, a man is seriously hurt after a shooting early this morning in Raleigh. The shooting happened on Dancy Drive near Lewisburg Road just after 12:30. Police had an SUV towed from that scene around 5 a.m. They have not made any arrests. Starting today, changes are coming to downtown Raleigh. South Street is closing permanently between Dawson and McDowell Streets as part of the expansion project for the Raleigh Convention Center. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey tells us this closure is making way for the relocation of the Red Hat Amphitheater.
Your commute in downtown Raleigh will look different starting today. This section of South Street here between Dawson and McDowell Streets will close permanently today. Drivers now need to use Lenore Street as an alternate route. This is all a part of changes for the Red Hat Amphitheater. The city is moving the amphitheater to South Lenore Street, just a block away from where it is now. That will make room for a 300,000 square foot expansion at the Raleigh Convention Center. Plans for the new Red Hat are already in the works. You're looking at renderings of that project now. The city plans to add more sidewalks in front of the venue. Assistant City Manager Evan Raleigh says the Red Hat brings big money to businesses downtown.
We have more and more people every year coming to visit. I think we were over 250 or 60,000 tickets sold last year. We had our best concert season ever with over 51 concerts. And so, you know, that's a lot of activity on the street. That's a lot of people coming downtown to spend dollars.
The new Red Hat is set to open in 2027. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
And happening today at the Legislative Building, we'll get our first look at plans state lawmakers have to spend more than $30 billion in taxpayer money. And WRAL's Laura Levine tells us about the budget proposal.
We are talking about billions of dollars on the line. So happening here today, state Senate leaders will discuss and lay out their vision of how that money should be spent. We know that this is the first step in what will likely be several months of negotiations between Republican House and Senate leaders, as well as Democratic Governor Josh Stein.
The Senate plan will be more modest than Stein recommended. That may mean smaller proposed raises for teachers and state employees. The current state budget is $31.7 billion. GOP lawmakers propose bringing that up to $32.6 billion in the coming year and $33.3 billion by 2026-2027. Stein has proposed a larger increase to nearly $34 billion, which would be paid for by keeping tax rates the same instead of continuing with tax cuts that Republicans favor, as well as by slashing the state's taxpayer-funded private school tuition vouchers. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie explains the key things to watch for in the Senate's proposal.
Governor Josh Stein had proposed a 9% raise for teachers and a small raise for state employees. So we're waiting to see what the Senate's going to propose for each of those groups of people. We're also waiting to see whether scheduled tax cuts are going to be allowed to go into effect next year.
So Senate Leader Phil Berger said he expects this budget to move pretty quickly, passing the Senate by the end of this week. Then it'll be the House's turn to approve its version of the budget. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Raleigh.
The NC Capitol team will be at the Legislative Building today following any developments with the budget plan. Look for updates on WRAL News from 4 to 7:30 this evening. Happening today, State Supreme Court Justice Allison Riggs will speak about efforts from her challenger, Jefferson Griffin, to have votes from the November election thrown out. Riggs plans to speak at 10 o'clock this morning in Raleigh's Bicentennial Plaza. Recounts show the Democrat got 734 more votes than the Republican Griffin in November's Supreme Court election. Griffin has been challenging that result. Friday, the State Supreme Court ruled most of the contested voters should have their votes counted, but also thousands of overseas voters should have their ballots thrown out. That would affect more than 5,000 votes. Raleigh police say a rapper who was performing at a nightclub appears to have been the intended target of a shooting. Several cars were hit with bullets, including the van the rapper and his team were traveling in. The shooting happened yesterday morning around 3:20 outside Star Bar on Trawick Road. Police say they found more than 20 shell casings at the scene. They say it appears the rapper, known as OMB Peasy, was the target. One woman whose car was shot, who did not want to go on camera, describes what she heard.
We couldn't really tell where the shots were coming from other than where it looks like we've seen shots, cars, damages.
And no one was hurt in the shooting. Police have been called to Star Bar in the past. Last August, we reported on a shooting where 2 people were seriously injured. And back in 2020, a string of more than 100 incidents resulted in the ABC Commission pulling Star Bar's liquor license. It was later reinstated. Police in Fayetteville are working to learn what may have led to a deadly shooting at a recreation center there. Officers responded to the College Lakes Recreation Center at 5 p.m. after reports of shots fired. They found a man who was shot and killed. A viewer sent us a video showing about a dozen police cars, 2 fire trucks, and an ambulance right in front of the rec center. When our crew arrived, they saw a car being towed from the parking lot. No arrests have been made. A Pennsylvania man faces attempted murder and terrorism charges this morning after police say he set fire to Governor Josh Shapiro's home while he and his family were asleep inside. Shapiro says his family celebrated the first night of Passover hours before that fire began. Shapiro, his wife, and their 4 children were able to get out safely along with their dogs. Authorities say 38-year-old Cody Balmer broke in and started that fire. And in a post to X, Governor Josh Stein called the arson a reprehensible act and said he and the First Lady are praying for them. Tonight, the Durham Board of County Commissioners meets for its regular session. Among the topics up for discussion are construction materials for the county's new sheriff's training facility. The commissioners will meet at 7 o'clock tonight. And for the first time, Rory McIlroy is champion of the Masters. This was the moment right here. It took one extra hole for McIlroy to claim that green jacket. He and Justin Rose were tied through 72 holes, but McIlroy won it in a playoff hole. With that win, he now has a career Grand Slam, winning all 4 of golf's major tournaments. Tiger Woods is the only other golfer in the last 50 years to achieve that feat. And Woods posted his congratulations to McIlroy on X, saying, quote, "You're a part of history. Proud of you." And Bryson DeChambeau finished tied for 5th in the Masters, but today he'll return to the site of one of his greatest career triumphs. Today, DeChambeau will visit Pinehurst number 2, where he won last year's U.S. Open. He'll be there for the unveiling of a commemorative plaque next to the 18th hole bunker. That's where he made an incredible shot to secure that win. The plaque will be unveiled at 12:30 this afternoon. We're talking taxes. 5 on Your Side explains how to stretch your refund and avoid penalties if you owe money. Plus, Parkway progress. More than 6 months after Helene, new sections of the Blue Ridge Parkway are opening. The work that still needs to be done to get things back to normal. Plus, we are warming up to start the work week. This is a live look at the WRAL studio tower camera. Oh my goodness, beautiful. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner has a look at the week ahead and how long the sunshine sticks around.
844, taking a live look at Chapel Hill, looking beautiful. Just a few high, thin clouds. We're taking a look down Franklin Street right now. Just so beautiful. Don't you love the color of the trees right now? I do, just that pretty light green color. And the low humidity that we're seeing right now. 57 in Durham, 55 Cary, and Garner 54 in Fayetteville. So right now, temperatures are mostly in the low to mid 50s. We do have a strong wind that's coming out of the south, so that will continue to warm us up today. Winds are at 13 in Durham and Raleigh, 10 in Southern Pines and Goldsboro. This afternoon, we'll see winds gusting 20 to 25, but that keeps that warm air coming. So we'll see mid 80s for this afternoon, and this evening we're back down into the 70s by 7 o'clock. Ken.
Right, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. Let's start in Durham. Give you a live look at I-885 and TW Alexander Drive. Traffic flowing nicely in both directions. In terms of other major routes heading into the Bowl City, very little to no delays, which is really good news this time of the morning. In terms of the capital city, similarly, all the major routes are relatively delay-free. You're just looking at a 5-minute delay coming in from Wake Forest this morning. I'll have another update on your commute at the top of the hour over on Fox 50.
All right, thank you, Ken. New this morning, 2 people are dead, 9 others are hurt after a shooting at a park in Arkansas. This happened in the city of Conway, which is just northwest of Little Rock. Authorities have not released any information about possible shooters or the names and ages of the people who were shot. At least 6 people are hurt after a home explosion in Texas. Look at this. Authorities in Austin say 1 person is in critical condition and another is in serious condition. 2 firefighters were also hurt in that explosion. At least 24 surrounding homes were damaged. Investigators are working to determine the cause. And we are approaching the deadline to file your taxes, whether you owe money or received a refund. 5 on your sides. Keely Arthur is here to help and explains what you should do next.
Today, we are tackling both refunds and owing on your taxes. First, let's start with what to do if you owe. If you can't pay your taxes in full by tax day, pay what you can. Then consider these options. First, a credit card. The IRS accepts them on irs.gov, helping you avoid penalties. Next, consider a payment plan. Apply online for one installment plan, but expect to see fees and interest. Finally, offer a compromise. If you're struggling financially, you may qualify to settle with the IRS for less. Now let's talk about what to do if you receive a refund. Start with knocking out high interest debt like credit cards and loans, or stash it in savings. A recent U.S. News and World Report survey found that 40% of participants could not cover an unexpected $1,000 expense. If you don't have an emergency fund, this is a great way to start one.
I know some people think even if you're just getting $500, that's not enough, but it doesn't matter because what we're doing is creating momentum.
And there's always room for improvement. If you received an unexpected tax bill, adjust your W-4 or set aside money to avoid surprises next year. Keely Arthur, 5 on your side.
At least 1 person is hurt after a crash near Garner, just south of Lake Benson. It happened after 4 p.m. on Rand Road in Old Ponderosa Circle. The State Highway Patrol says a truck crossed the center line, then hit a ditch and another car before flipping over. The driver of the truck was taken to the hospital. Troopers say speed and alcohol were factors in the crash. We are working to learn whether the driver is facing any charges. And covering Wake County today, new mental health treatment options are being announced for people deemed unable to stand trial. Sheriff Willie Rowe and State Health and Human Services Secretary Deb Sangvai plan to make that announcement this afternoon at 4. They say the expansion of services aims to strengthen and improve capacity in North Carolina's legal and behavioral health systems. The largest stretch of the Blue Ridge Parkway just reopened more than 6 months after Helene. The parkway reopened 15 more miles from milepost 121 to milepost 136. The Park Service says it's still assessing Helene's damage. At least 57 known landslides happened along the parkway. 12 landslides are currently under repair at 8 different locations. And out of the 252 miles of roadway in North Carolina, 157 miles remain closed because of damage. Well, the people who decide who gets a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame want to know who you think deserves one. David Daniel has that and more in today's Hollywood Minute.
Nominations are open for the Hollywood Walk of Fame class of 2026. The Hollywood Chamber of Commerce is accepting applications until May 15th. Nomination procedures, frequently asked questions, the applications themselves, and who already has a star can all be found at walkoffame.com.
Low-key, I've always had a crush on you.
Hey. Will you be my girlfriend?
The official trailer is out for the Netflix series Forever, inspired by the classic Judy Blume young adult novel about first love. Forever, starring Lovie Simone and Michael Cooper Jr., debuts May 8th.
Just take all the time in the world to, noodle.
Mythic Quest is out of time. Apple TV has canceled the gaming workplace comedy series after 4 seasons. But the show will get to say goodbye, not just game over. This week, Apple plans to re-release last month's season finale with a new ending, suitable for a series finale.
And that was David Daniel reporting. If you are heading to the coast this spring or summer, one popular town is now charging for beach parking. Emerald Isle is now charging beachgoers for parking. 2 kiosks are at the eastern and western ocean regional accesses. Parking will cost you $4 an hour or $16 for the day. The program runs 7 days a week from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. through September 15th. So no free weekend parking. And a warning to folks who are planning a trip to the Outer Banks this season. Officials at the Cape Lookout National Seashore are telling visitors not to drive on Shark Island. The narrow sandbar is located off the point of Cape Lookout. Officials say visitors think they can drive onto the sandbar during low tide, but they often get stuck when the island disappears at high tide. These situations lead to first responders having to conduct complex rescue missions. And an underwater camera spotted a 10-foot-long great white shark off the coast of Boynton Beach, Florida. Look at this video here. Marine biologists at Florida Atlantic University placed a camera on top of a nurse shark, something they do to collect data on shark behavior. The team got quite a surprise, a rare 4-minute-long interaction between the nurse shark and the great white. Researchers say this may be the first ever shark selfie recorded in South Florida waters. Oh my goodness, look at that. It looks like it's planned. It was not planned. That is just incredible to witness, though. All this beach talk, Elizabeth, I want to go to the beach, and today's a good day for it.
It is a great day for it. Temperatures in the mid-80s around here. Some showers in our forecast for tomorrow, but just briefly, like a couple of sprinkles, and a lot of us won't even see it. This is our next weather maker. It's a cold front that'll come through around midday tomorrow. It will be windy. Everybody will see that. Some gusts 25 to 35 miles per hour. And then behind that front, we have a pretty big cool down for Wednesday and Thursday. Highs are back in the 60s again. But today is going to be a warm one. We're looking down Fayetteville Street from our Jimmy V camera. You can see the sunshine there over Memorial Auditorium. 57 is our current temperature. It'll be a fast warm up. We'll make it into the mid 70s by lunchtime. But 54 in Fayetteville, 52 Rocky Mount and Roxborough right now. Closer to the Triangle, it's 54 in Holly Springs, 56 in Garner and in Cary, and 52 in Chapel Hill. So we're mostly in the low to mid 50s. Now, that doesn't last because of this strong flow coming out of the south. You can see those arrows. That's the direction the wind is headed. So all that warmth is coming up from the south, and we shade that in red. It'll give you the idea that, yeah, we've got this warm air that's moving into our area. Southwest wind will continue to be gusty through the afternoon, and that'll be up to around 25 miles per hour. 84 will be the high in Raleigh, 85 in Durham and Fayetteville. You notice the azaleas back here? I know a bunch of you were in the azalea garden over the weekend because I was there too. It was prom, and boy, so many people there. It was great to see. So send us some of your photos from the gardens, but we love this one too. Gio Argentati sent us this one from Lake Crabtree as that moon was rising last night. Go to WRAL.com/report it and send us your photos. 72 is our normal high, so we're well above that today, but no record. And of course, we'll be back in just a few minutes.